Good afternoon. This is Elizabeth Cobb from the 522 Accountability Session, speaking to you today on accountability related to organizational change with organizational acquisitions. The focus of this presentation, which is also my primary problem of practice, is related to organizational transitions. What I am exploring is whether the inclusion of a human resources transition plan in some type of organizational transformation, like an acquisition, will minimize the disruptive effects of that transformation on overall employee engagement. December 31st, 2019, two organizations came together. The organization in which I'm an employee, Southern Finance Corporation, which is a pseudonym, and I will call SFC, acquired a competitor with similar but also different products, but both in the consumer finance industry. SFC is a larger corporation, 1,100 employees and 300 branches strong in 6 southeastern states, with smaller loans or B loans ranging from $100 to $1,000 with an average around $750. The organization we acquired is similar in that it's in the consumer finance industry, but different because the loans are larger and they're called A loans. They range anywhere from 500 to 50,000, where the average is around 7,500 typically. Both organizations have their own mission, vision, and values, and each is specific to the respective organization. To become a unit, to become one of our first steps in the HR transition plan will be creating a mission, vision, and values for the combined company. And one of those, part of that mission, I should say, is to become an employer of choice in the consumer finance industry. So that will be one of the key targets of the organization after they come together. There are director and provider roles at play in the organizational transition. This is a concept from Henschke and Wohlstetter. And what's interesting is how the executive team, of which I'm a part, plays two different roles in the same organization. Our immediate goal is to integrate both companies and to have a seamless integration effort between the organizations. And we are the directors advising the employees from both organizations in the work that needs to be done to meet that objective. However, when it comes to our boss, the board of directors, the executive team becomes the provider because we are responsible for delivering results to the board of directors. And if we do not, our roles will be in jeopardy. What's interesting is that when we're dealing with the board of directors, the goal's different. It's the same organization, and ultimately the goal is organizational success, but the board of directors focuses on earnings, which, as we are working towards an integration and spending a multitude of hours on the integration, the dichotomy and of having two different director-provider relationships can be challenging. Two components of epistemological accountability are part of this organizational transformation. Tetlock talked about process accountability, which is really the journey to reaching the goal. And in this case for SFC, it's a seamless, transparent, and inclusive integration following an HR transition plan. Outcomeability is more focused on the actual end game, the goal. And our goal here is a post-integration outcome of employee engagement and satisfaction that drives other outcomes. Embedded in any HR transition plan would be a learning and development component. And Kirkpatrick's New World model provides a method for evaluating learning. It's a 4-step model that actually starts at level 1 with the end in mind. And knowing that our results are ultimately to finish a seamless integration that drives employee engagement, that positions us to be an employer of choice, knowing that enables me to go back to level 1 and adjust my learning plan and my methods for evaluation accordingly with the idea of achieving this end goal. Level 1 of the Kirkpatrick model is reaction, which is simply your response to the training, whether it be online, classroom, immediately after that training has occurred. Many of us have filled out evaluations where we indicate whether we found the instruction effective, whether we think we will use the information in our jobs, etc. But it's so immediate and reactionary that there's no way to tell if a change in knowledge is occurring that will lead to changes in behavior and results. Transitioning to level 2, which is learning, that's where the new information becomes knowledge and moves into a knowledge-based function. So in level 2 is where you might see learners starting to, for example, articulate policies and procedures or demonstrate the policies and procedures on the job in action. And that's what SFC is trying to achieve in instructing members of the acquired organization on SFC's practices, since ultimately they will be held accountable to those. Level 3 transitions to behavior, and that is where the knowledge that is gained through learning affects changes in behavior. So how could I expect to see behavior change as members of the acquired organization are learning about SFC policies and procedures, and the mission, vision, and values are defined? What are some of the signs that the organization is coming together as one unit? One example would be the operations team reports out with data from both entities. Or in casual conversation in the hallway, we never hear employees say us or them anymore, which happened immediately after the acquisition. Instead, they start referring to each other as we, and you know that they are coming together as one. Other signs would be including employees from the acquired organization in routine meetings, and the employees themselves can demonstrate their commitment and their interest by completing the training on time and remaining engaged in the training. So Kirkpatrick also has some additional behaviors, critical behaviors that they look for within the 4 levels. And those are cited here. And it's reinforcing, encouraging, rewarding, and monitoring the various actions that are taking place and what that looks like as the transition and the unification continue to occur. Level 4 is the organizational results. After the learning is complete, after the employees have been engaged, after they've demonstrated they understand our practices and policies, what should we look for to tell us that that all translates into organizational results? Well, from the outside, we're becoming a more attractive place to work because we've got our act together. We have a robust training program. We're inclusive, and we've pulled in our new teammates. And favorable job board feedback is another way that the external environment indicates this is a company where I want to work. Internally, we would leverage the Gallup Q12 employee engagement survey to determine how employees are feeling. We would look at turnover numbers and whether or not the acquired employees can demonstrate the new practices that they learn. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the question is, did business performance, did earnings improve as a result of these initiatives? And that would be the key driver and result that our board of directors, who are really the ultimate in the ultimate director relationship, that's what they are looking for. So what if we do all of these things? I mean, it's an if-then question. If we prepared a comprehensive HR transition plan to support an organizational acquisition, and if the employees from the acquired organization are fully engaged in training and can demonstrate that the training was effective in their application of what they've learned. Meanwhile, if SFC is welcoming and demonstrates that they are inclusive to their newest teammates, then it's reasonable to look for specific results like favorable engagement, reduced turnover, positive job board feedback, a greater acceptance rate, and above all things, the improved organizational performance. And the belief is if all of those components align, that SFC will be a candidate for employer of choice for the installment lending sector of the consumer finance industry. Thank you for your attention and for your collaboration and partnership this semester. See you next semester.